Hi guys, I just wanted to shoot a little video here and give you some pointers as you move forward with the Boren application. Um, and then I'd like to encourage you to get me any of your essays by January 20th, so I have time to give you some review, or before January 20th would be better. To be frank about it, no one who hasn't sent their essays for review has ever gotten the award. So don't think that you can just send it in without getting some kind of comment back and doing at least one or two more drafts, that is two or three drafts total on it, is kind of a waste of time for you. You're not going to get it. You have to understand that we're talking about something around 300 of these $20,000 awards that are given out in the entire country. So this is stiff competition. Nonetheless, we've had four that have won out of UNH in the last 5 years, so we're doing very well. Um, but anyway, okay, so here are some pointers, some common mistakes that people make. First of all, when you write the essay, that what you're trying to do to talk about yourself or to talk about your program is to signal the following: it's not about you. Try to not use the word I as much as possible. I'm not saying you can't, but you need to be judicious with it. Why? Because a lot of times people will write this essay and essentially say, hey, look, I love my country really, really a lot, so much, more than other people, and I'm really, really awesome, and if you let me do this, then I'm going to become a super spy. Nobody believes that. You need to write this in a humble way that discusses your real qualities, but the whole tone of it has to be why they should invest $20,000 in you, right? And this is a long-term investment. So what they want to do, and this is what you have to understand, is they want to take you from zero in a language to a level 2, an intermediate, or 2 plus, an advanced intermediate level, based on interagency language roundtable, which is what the government uses to give you language pay if you're in the DoD or in State Department and things like that. They want to know, if I give you $20,000, right, can you suck it up and get through what eventually will be a very miserable experience trying to learn this language, right? Are you resilient enough? Have you shown me in your essays and in the other material, right, in the recommendation letters, which you need to make sure are well done, have you shown me, right, on this board, this committee that chooses, that you're committed to getting through the rough parts, and that if we invest this language, you will do the 35 hours of contact, you will get through whatever personal issues, right, arise when you take this award, and then you do this award, and you will stay committed to federal employment, right? And real federal employment, not like super spy stuff, but like, I'm going to be a bureaucrat in the Department of Commerce, and I'm going to have this language capability, and that's going to be useful for the government for 20 years. That's what you have to keep in your mind. So talk less about I and more about what you can provide if they make this investment in you. You have to keep thinking they are investing in me. Secondly, when you talk about whatever country or national security issue it is that you're supposed to talk about, you need to be unique. You need to not do what, again, most people do and look it up on the CIA World Factbook or Wikipedia and then just provide that, right? And further, often provided in the sense that, hey, right, Iran is evil, and I want to push against Iran because it's a clear national security threat because they have nuclear weapons, or they're trying to develop nuclear weapons, and blah, 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 blah. Or China is evil too. You need to go beyond that. You need to read a book, a real book, a whole book, which many of you haven't even done, right? About the place or the language area that you want to get into, which is why you're running out of time. If you can't read a book, then you need to read reviews. You need to look at places like the New York Times and look for their book reviews. You need to look at something different here. It's similarly named, but it's something called the New York Review, right? And look at book reviews there. You need to talk to me and say, hey, do you have some books that you recommend? And you at least need to skim them. Read the introductory chapter, read the conclusion, and skim them. Here's what you're looking for, right? You need to go deeper than the wiki in your understanding of the region and your understanding of the national security issues. You need to get beyond just the military and bombs and guns and all that kind of stuff. Everybody does that. That's easy. You need to find a way to empathize with the society you're talking about, right? So if Iran is building nuclear weapons, you need to go, why? Right? What is their logic? Empathy, look it up, right, is not the same as sympathy. You need to understand why, in their mind, right, this is a completely appropriate thing to do. Or even better, what the arguments are in that society, right? You need to not be stupid enough to go, oh, well, Iran has a dictator and there's no politics that happens there. You need to go, aha, right? There's the Ayatollah. This is what the Ayatollah's role is in the government. There's a secularly elected president. This is what his role is, right? There is a parliament. How are these people elected, right? What are the political debates that go on in Iranian society about issues that affect American national security, right? Secondly, this is important. Most people just jump on the military stuff. You need to look at economics, and you need to look at the point of American foreign policy, which is the following, right? Americans look out at foreign policy and they say countries that aren't democratic are inherently, because they are not democratic, a potential or actual threat to America's short or long-term security. And so what we are looking for is ways in which we can find partners in those societies to promote a more democratic China, a more democratic Iran. So it's not just about weapons. You need to get down to that level, because otherwise you look like everybody else, right? Next, in all of this, the point of getting down to that deeper level of understanding, right, of thinking in terms of and using a tone in your language that says you are something that they are going to invest in instead of you, or I, is that you need to be unique. That's the end of this, right? You need to look differently and sound differently and suggest to them with this material, this is the art of it, that you're a better investment than the next person over. Here's where you talk about your life, your academics, and here's the thing is everybody who does this is smart, right? And you're competing against people from Harvard and Yale and Stanford and everybody else, right? So nobody really gives a crap about how smart you are in a sense. Like, you need to be smart, but you're not going to compare in those ways. What makes a difference is that you have resilience, that you can tell a story, a human story about, hey, I was doing this, right? And I was going along here and things got really hard, right? I was taking Russian class and, right, it sucked. And I thought I was going to quit. But then, my teacher said this and blah, 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 blah. And I decided to really, buckle down, and I took some classes in the summer, and this is where I'm at. Or it doesn't have to be language or something else. Because what they want to know, again, is, like I said before, that if they give you that money, that investment, they know what this process is like. They know what this experience is like, and they know it's not easy. And they don't want to give it to somebody who's gonna fail, right? Who's gonna quit when the going gets tough. And so you need to talk about your experiences in ROTC or something like that, where you felt like quitting because everybody does, but you didn't. You didn't. You need to tell that story and get beyond just writing something that says you're awesome all the time. Nobody believes that, right? And nobody's going to believe that you're more awesome, in these kinds of things than someone else who's had something like that, right? So you need to talk about those experiences, and you need to convince them that you can be this good investment and it won't be a failed investment. That's why it doesn't matter if you have language experience. They don't really care that much about it. What they care about when you're getting a recommendation from a language teacher here at UNH is that they explain your resiliency in working through the problems and experiences of learning a language, right? The Boren people know how to teach you the language. They do this all the time. They take government employees, right? And they send people out and they teach them the language in 10 months. That's what they're doing with you, right? The trick is, when they're doing it with government employees, they have a lot of data and ways to tell who to invest the money in, right? Who's not going to fail the program. They have less of that with you, but that's what this packet is really, right, laying out for them. And the last point I'm going to give to you is you can't make any mistakes in grammar, right? Meaning like commas and periods and things like that. And you can't make mistakes in awkward phrasing. You have to have pitch perfect paragraphs. Essays happen at 3 levels: sentences, right? Paragraphs that contain a single big idea, and then how you put those paragraphs together to make your total essay, right? You also don't have to make 500 words, right? You just have to have a coherent, right, and persuasive description and argument of why they should make that investment in you in however many words that you can do it. Now, they don't want to read more than 500, because what you have to understand is, right, someone like me is going to get a stack of 100 of these things to go through, and I'm not getting paid for it. And I'm going to pull one off, and what I'm doing in that first cut is looking for any reason to throw it in the trash. So if there's a mistake in that first sentence, trash, no matter how good it is further down. I won't read any further down, right? So I'm going to get rid of 50 right off the bat that way, because people don't edit, because they think they can write it in one draft, right? Then I'm going to go through the other ones, right? And I'm going to say, okay, right, which ones are the standard, I love my country so much you should give me this money, and I know where Iran is on the map because I read some Wikipedia articles, and I'm going to throw those in the trash. And what I'm going to have left is 10 or 15 essays, right? And then I've got the hard job of, I'm supposed to pick two. And that's where I'm really looking for someone, and I'm trying to get a sense of, right, a sense of who's going to be resilient, who can do this thing. So that's what you got to do. I'm going to set up a meeting, a group meeting for everybody who is interested in the Boren, and to go through this. I highly encourage you to make that meeting. If you don't, the initial content for me is going to be what you've seen in this video. And then we can go through specific questions that you have with your essays. I will not go through and do line-by-line edits. You should be able to do that. In fact, you shouldn't be able to do that, but what you should be able to do is find someone who will do it for you. And this isn't your mom, unless your mom is willing to tell you, right, where you're not doing well. The end is you need to write this thing, you need to hand it off to someone who hasn't seen anything from it, and have them read it, and then you ask them one question. You look at them and you say, hey, friend, what was I saying in that essay? And you listen very carefully to what they tell you. And you ask yourself then, right, is what they're telling me what I thought I was saying? And then you go back and you look at the essay level, the paragraph level, right, and the sentence level, and you start there. That's what I'm going to do when you give me your essays, and then I give you feedback on it. I'm going to go at that level. At that grammar level, at the sentence level, you need to send it to somebody else who's got the time and will do that job well for you. And that means telling you where you haven't done things well. You need to be able to handle that criticism and make those changes. All right, now, here's the positive side. We've done well with people getting these awards, right? Getting actual awards or getting runner-ups. We've had a couple of those too. You can do this. You can't do this if you half-ass it, right? So if you don't have the time and you just decided like this isn't it, maybe I'll apply next year, that's fine. Don't waste your time and don't waste my time on it. But if you are committed to this, if you're willing to do the things that I've told you and not fight me on it, right, by all means, right, go for it. Get it edited, right, at the sentence and grammar level, and then hand it to me, and I will talk to you about the paragraph and the overall essay level. And we will put together a really solid packet for you to go out to get you into that 15 out of that 100. All right? I will be in touch about a date and a time to meet on a Zoom. Take care and good luck.